It's Wednesday, January 7th. I'm Adam Walsh, and this is The Signal. Today on the show, how do we make a new place, a new home for us? Relocating to a new country, quite the big step, life-changing. My panel today will talk about it and talk about resiliency as a newcomer, as a foreigner in a new land. Yeah, so the here I'm just gonna do the book thing. I normally there you go. Hot off the presses. Becoming the Resilient Foreigner. Embrace change, reinvent yourself, and thrive anywhere by Didan Ashanta Wedderburn. Hello. How you doing?
Hello.
Thanks
Adam,
for this.
Thanks. You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So before we introduce our other two guests here, we're going to dive into a discussion around this book, everything in it, the thoughts around it. And for everyone listening today, the discussion is moving to a new place, figuring out who you are, how to live your life, how to become, in this case, becoming the resilient foreigner, right? And, you know, also with that newcomer, as you listen to us, if you've moved here to Newfoundland and Labrador, you give us a shout, right? Give us a call, give us a text, give us an email. If you've lived abroad and spent time somewhere else, same thing, right? Or if you just have kind of thoughts on the conversation, get in touch with us. The text line, 709-327-8206. Emails thesignal@cbc.ca and call us. The lines are open, 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255. Quick little, give us just the jumping off point, Didan, for the book, and then we'll bring everyone else into the conversation.
Well, this book is my gift to the people who are currently trying to rebuild their personal and professional lives in a new place. And it's my way of kind of paying it forward, because I've had a lot of people who have lifted me when I was low and taught me how to dust myself off and start over and to win big wherever I found myself across the globe. So I decided to package a lot of my experiences, a lot of the research I've done, and give it away.
That's nice. And speaking of giving it away, email us any point during the show, thesignal@cbc.ca. I've got a book to give away today as well. We're giving out books like candy the last little bit here on this Signal. It's been fantastic, and I love the emails that we've been getting. Afia Tiwaa Obeng, how you doing?
I'm good.
Excellent. Tell us about yourself.
My name is Afia Tiwaa Obeng, and currently I'm a student at Memorial University. I'm studying a master's in environmental systems engineering and management. I'm a content creator, and I love social media. I do a lot of strategy and social media management and teaching people how to become content creators.
Yeah, which you've already been doing with Neha Kumari, who is here. How you doing?
Good. I'm very good. Thank you for having me, Adam.
All right, tell us about yourself.
My name is Neha Kumari, and I came to St. John's, Newfoundland 3 years back as an international student. Currently, I'm a graduate student. I already graduated, and I'm working as a business data analyst for St. John's International Airport Authority. Plus, I'm also trying to build my business here that helps newcomers again. So when I read this book, I actually felt that this is not just for newcomers. I could feel that this book is for anyone who is trying to do anything new in their life. So thank you so much, Didan, for writing such a fantastic book.
I think that's because I looked through the PDF last night and this morning for the book until I got the fresh copy in my hands just before the show, and 100% on what you just said. Right, there's so much in it. It's not it's not just it's becoming the resilient foreigner, but there's just so much for just folks and life and looking at who you are, who you want to become, how you want to become it, and a roadmap to that. Let me move your microphone in just a little bit. There we go. There you go.
Okay.
Late show adjustment. So then, when it comes to making a new place your home, and there's a lot we can talk about here, but Didan, push us into that. What's the thought process, or what's looking in becoming the resilient foreigner? you decide to move somewhere, right? You buy your ticket, you get your job, you buy your tickets or whatever, all the immigration stuff. You land, you're excited, you're nervous, you got your luggage, you find your spot, you're living there, maybe in an empty living room before you get your couch, and you're like, now what? Where do we go? What's the thought process for this?
Well, the book is built on the framework that I call the ADAPT framework. And a lot of people think, yes, when you go to a new place, you have to adapt. Well, if we look outside our windows here in St. John's, we see things that a lot of newcomers have to adapt to. All the fluffy white stuff that's piled up high. And if I use that as an example, you now have to learn about thermal underwear. You have to learn about the right type of gloves to wear. You have to learn about how to shovel, how to break up those ice chunks that the lovely plow drivers push into your driveway. And these are things that require you to learn about your environment, but also change yourself. So that's what we focus on. And if you want me to break it down, ADAPT has to do with assessing your situation, defining your new identity, acting with intention, prioritizing, recharging, and tracking your progress. So this is what I break down through 5 chapters, explaining to people how you make this shift to reinvent yourself when you find yourself in a new place.
And I'll ask the other two this shortly, but is there a balance, or is there a mental process of thinking of how to reinvent yourself and adapt yourself without also losing who you feel you are? Like, what is that process, and what do you think about it?
I'm very glad you bring that up, because that's something I talk about when I'm sharing how to define your new identity. It's not about wearing a mask or faking it or being someone who you aren't, but it is deciding, how do I want to function? So let's use me as an example. My identity in my relationship to my mother is being a daughter. But my relationship, or my identity in my relationship to my daughter, is as a mother. Have I lost who I am? No. Have I tried to fake to become someone else? No. I'm just showing up in that relationship or in that context, in that environment, in a different way. In one context, I'm saying mommy to this other person, but the other person is calling me mommy. Yeah. So that's, if you can grasp that, that's what I mean when I say define a new identity. So, for example, I may have been an English teacher in Japan, but I got on the plane, left Tokyo, and then I landed here. And yes, I may have taught English for a couple of years when I just got here, but now I'm working with people on social integration. Yeah. So I can decide to make that shift. I can look at my environment and say, well, I don't see a lot of private language schools here in St. John's. Do I complain about it and spend the rest of my life saying, why can't I be a language teacher here or do I say, but there are other opportunities. People need that support to integrate in a new environment. So I can package my skills, get new training, and become something else.
I feel sometimes like, so my French is getting a little rusty, but I to the point of like being a mother and also a daughter, and then of the job bit that you mentioned, like when you move, it's like, well, I'm not going to teach ESL. What are the opportunities? Even for me, when I speak French, I feel it's a different kind of me. It's still me.
Yes.
But it's a different me. Me living in Japan when I was working in Tokyo, how I was in the office, a lot of it was me, but again, it was just like
contextualized.
I'm not going to be. I remember one time in Tokyo, someone was asking me, just even, this is simple, but about they heard me talk about, well, there's sayings in Newfoundland and kind of like a different dialect, and they're like, oh, do you use it here? I'm like, absolutely not. And they're like, why? I'm like, well, here. And I was like, well, what are you at? And they're like, come again? I'm like, exactly. Like there's certain things I'm not going to do here because you're just not going to get it. Yeah. So like just to kind of touch on some of that.
That's a perfect grasp on the concept.
A+ so far. 14 minutes into, or 9 minutes into the show, and here we are. I like it an A+ right away. Afia, what about yourself? So for what Didan's saying, but like, tell us about your experience, kind of coming here a year and a bit ago. You're not counting days anymore, right? No. Okay, so here we go. It's extended. What was the entry like, and what were your thoughts around it? And to tie into some of what Didan's saying.
Okay, so I was supposed to be here in St. John's in January 2024, but I had to defer my program to August because my visa delayed.
Yeah.
And so 6 months before I got here, or the 7 months before I got here, I kind of got into digital marketing. I got a job in that, and I was doing that for fun. I wasn't really taking it seriously or thought of building a career in it. So I remember prior to coming here, I used to go on one of the websites of the grad students, and I could see job opportunities that students can do on campus in social media. So I'll tell my dad that, I hear that when you go here, you have to work in survival jobs, but I see these jobs on campus. I think I can do that. And we just laugh about it. And I'm like, when I come, I'll give it a try. So I came in here in August, and I was very confused. I mean, I came with all the energy, but I got here and I'm like, okay, so we are here. How do we go about this life? And lucky for me, I knew people here already. So settling in, getting a space to live in for my first few months wasn't a struggle. It was actually smooth for me. And then the hustle began, looking for a survival job. And I started applying to so many home cares. I started applying to retail stores. I got a retail job for the first time. I got home care jobs too, but I would call them every day that I'm available for shifts. Like, call me, I would come and work.
Yeah.
They were not responding. So at the end of my first semester, I told myself that, you know what? We need to start looking elsewhere. We need to start making good use of the skills we have. That I can do better. I believe I have skills that people need here, and I just have to start searching. So I was strategic about it. I decided to make a LinkedIn series post about lessons I learned in my first semester and tie it to job searching. And I was applying for any job I saw at Memorial Campus. And I was telling my friends about it. So I have 2 friends who sent me a job opportunity in social media at the Memorial Center for Entrepreneurship. The first one sent it, and I'm like, you know what? I've applied to so many jobs. I'm tired. Maybe they will not mind me. The second one sent it and encouraged me. And now I'll shout out to Esther and Prince because they pushed me to do this. One night, I just sent in an application, not even the best one, to be honest. And I was surprised to see that email that said, I have an interview. I should come in for an interview. And that same day, I had another interview for another home care, coincidentally. So I rushed to the home care place for my interview, and I rushed to Memorial Center for Entrepreneurship for my interview too. And I wasn't surprised. When I left the place, I had a feeling in me that I'm getting this job. I've got this job, and I'm going to make the best out of it. And so that was when I started seeing myself becoming so much more here. When I read Didan's book, when she talks about reinvention, I also believe it's a matter of awakening the person that you could be in a new place, somebody that you were before, but you thought you couldn't be that person in a new place. There's a way you can awaken or bring back that person to life. And it's all about sitting down, reflecting, finding the right people. Actually, if you don't get the right people to mentor you, if you don't meet the right people who would give you those resources, or if you don't meet, your environment actually shapes you a lot. So the people you surround yourself with really influence the way you think. And so Didan has played a vital role in that. And I'm so glad. I believe I'm reinventing myself in so many ways. I'm not just a social media strategist or a content creator. I somehow started a small business here too. And this is something that I used to do back home. And I remember Didan asked me the first time, do you have a business? I'm like, no, I used to have a business back home. Why don't you have it here? I'm like, I don't know. And now I have the business here. I'm a small business owner now, and I hope to be a small business strategist in the coming days.
Amazing. What's the small business?
It's a bakery. It's called Tents and Trays. I love to make cakes and decorate them for celebrations or like just to eat. But then my goal is to make cakes that are not too sweet, because back home my mom would eat my cakes and she wants to eat cake, but she doesn't want to eat something very sweet.
Yeah.
So I used to experiment with so many ingredients, so many techniques, and I figured out how to make my cakes taste. I mean, they are sweet, but they are not too sweet.
No, because I found a lot of times in North America, like the amount of sweetness for baked goods can oftentimes be above. You're like, this doesn't need to be this sweet. Come on, like we've just gone well beyond where it should be. So yeah, I'm okay. I'll be writing down the name of that small business. So let me go back to Didan for a second. That sounds like passing grades and everything from that's written in here. To like, just give us your thoughts on just everything we've just heard.
Well, Afia is a brilliant student, obviously. Not just her reading the book, but her being open to guidance. And if someone challenges her, she's going to pick it up and run with it. And that is generally the mindset of any foreigner. You go to a new place, you are eager, you're determined, you have goals and dreams, and you want to go after them. But it doesn't always stay at that 100% level. Sometimes the challenges will drain you.
Oh, yeah. No, if you were to check in with me of year 2 in South Korea, I had to do a couple of resets over time, right? I was there 6.5 years. And it takes time and effort and lots of thought. And things can go in a few different directions depending on how you feel about the culture you're in and how you feel you're being treated and how you're fitting in with it. Neha, what about yourself? Tell us about your entry.
So basically, I wanted to escape the hectic work culture back home in my country. So I was working as a data engineer in Shell, oil and gas, and there was no work-life balance there. And in the same time, I was also trying to see if I can pursue a master's degree. I was still doing like bachelor's, and I was also working. So just to escape that rat race, I just wanted to like come out and have a good life, a comfortable life where I can pursue my dreams, my passion, and also I can work comfortably. So that's the reason I came to Canada. That was the only reason for me escaping my country. No, there's no like I'm not saying anything bad about my country. It's just like the situation was very different for me. So that's
no work-life balance and a culture of if the work culture is one of not having any balance and not even being able to have conversations around that. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, and I can see why. Yeah, it's like no, I want to check something else out.
Yeah. Yeah, so when I came here, like, generally I wasn't like this. Like I wasn't very, I would say that I would not go and speak to people. Like, I was just sitting in front of my laptop, coding every day, all day, day and night. And I was that kind of a person, right? So when I came here, I started like researching, like how can you be successful in a foreign land? And I didn't know anyone. I had no one, no contacts, nobody in this country, in this province. So it was like, it was initially definitely it was a struggle, I would say. And as Didan mentioned that, you cannot be successful if you are the same when you were in your home country, right? And I totally believe this because, when I started reflecting myself, like what I had to change in myself. So this was the first thing that came to my mind, that I had to change like my my approach of, talking to people. Like, I always used to feel shy speaking to people, interacting with them. I had this kind of personality. So I started like talking more and more when I was still in my home country. Like I was like just practicing like little bit, like every day, like how I was just trying to break the shyness in me, and that's when I landed here. And initially it was fine, but I had fallen into this rental scam, and that was actually a mess because I lost money and it was actually and I had no one to go to because when you are new and you don't know anybody, it's very difficult to like have that connection, where to approach, what to approach, like whom to approach, right? And I really like the line in this book, what Didan mentioned is like, is nothing is broken, missing or wrong with you, because when all these things started happening, right, like I fell into this, I started questioning myself. Did I did I do the right thing of leaving such a high paying job and coming here and facing all this stuff? And I started questioning my decisions basically, and it was a tough time. And that's when my business idea got into this picture of having this assured hubs where I help other customers and other newcomers coming to this land, not facing, like I was trying to help them to save their time and also not to fall in any kind of scam. So that was when the idea pitched in my mind based on my own experience. And it was and initially, yeah, after a while it became really like it was I wouldn't say that it was a smooth sail, but it was a little bit easier to manage. Then I started with a retail job, as Afia mentioned, and I started thinking that I think I can do better than this, right? Like I have to like really work on my skills. And I was also like doing all this networking, like I was forcefully like going there, like even though I was not willing to go there, I was like, okay, let me go and speak to people. That's when, like, in one of the events organized by MC, I met Didan. And I also met Amy. She was also working with MC. And that's when I got to know about like Memorial Center for Entrepreneurship. And there was a job for an I think it was Melwood World Cup, and it was an events coordinator. When I think Didan interviewed me, and she selected me for the interview with MCE, and that was like such a like I really wanted to be in that entrepreneurship circle. And when I got that job, I was like so happy. I'm so grateful to Didan that she gave me that job, and I really like once when I had an interaction with Didan, I know she told me that the struggle of an international student, they haven't had their favorite food, their favorite meal. That really stuck with me because I don't like to cook. I am not. Yeah, and all my life I only I was only depending on other person to cook a meal for me. It's not like I don't know how to cook. It's just like I don't like to cook, and I really I'm fond of my mom's cooking. So I started when I heard that line, like from Didan at night. I was actually having all emotions in my mind, and I actually fell asleep crying because I was missing my mom so much. And when she wrote that book, there are so many things, the lines that she has mentioned, that I can so relate to it. The crisis, the celebrations that you miss when you're still in this country and, you're trying to navigate life, and so many things you're missing in your home country. So thank you so much, Didan, for writing such an amazing book.
Thank you, Neha.
Yeah.
So then, Didan, how to jump on or to move with some of what's been said so far on that? After you land, you're trying to reinvent yourself, figure things out, but there's culture shock. There's missing home food, right? Your mom's cooking. You miss family. I remember even first going away with the military, and like that first summer away, I'd phone home to like friends all at a thing, and like I could hear all the voices of my friends, like, "Oh, you're missing out." And I was like, "Oh," it was like, and I didn't feel homesick that much, but it's those moments where you're like, oh, I am, that FOMO bit, right? I am missing out, and I am kind of losing this, and they're going to have this memory, or you miss the big cultural events back home, and all of a sudden they start to stack up. How do you kind of like, what's the advice for processing and dealing with all that? And because sometimes it's just you can be sad.
Well, that part is the P in the ADAPT framework. It's prioritize recharging, because life will drain you.
Yeah.
It is relentless. Life.
And I encourage people to prioritize recharging through their habits. and through the habitats that they create. When we hear the word habitat, you usually think of, National Geographic and animals out there.
Oh, yeah, no.
But,
it's just kinda,
your habitat is the environment that you thrive in. And when you pack up and leave your home country, you're going into an environment that you have no idea about, but you can still choose who is around you and how they impact you. And so whether it is, I don't like to cook, but I'm going to find a restaurant nearby and I'm going to make it a habit that once a week I buy stacks and stacks of XYZ meals that I enjoy, and then I'm going to put them in my fridge, and that's my meal planning, so that I don't fall asleep crying because I miss these familiar flavors or dishes. That might be a habit. A habit might be, okay, I'm going to do gratitude journaling every day because life is awful, and if I don't find something to focus on that's positive, I am going to lose my mind. And that might be the one thing that saves you, Your habitat now is the people that you pull around you. I call them mates, mentors, and motivators. Your mates are the people who are in the trenches with you. They're doing the same thing, whether they're in the same program at school or they're working the same job, they live in the same area. But they understand what you're going through. And so when you need to vent and complain, they get it. And when opportunities come up, like with Afia, her friend said to her, hey, this job looks like it's your thing. And they will bring the opportunities to you so you don't miss out. The mentors are the people who have already accomplished what you're going after. And they can tell you, okay, this is a shortcut. Take this path to getting this accomplished, or you need to avoid that because it's going to cost you a lot more money, or it's going to take longer. They can help you navigate. And the final set of people would be your motivators. They have no idea what it's like to shovel 30 centimeters of snow. They don't know what you're trying to accomplish, but they believe in you and they're willing to cheer you on, to comfort you when things get rough. That's the habitat. It's like a psychological, emotional, social habitat that you're building for yourself. And that's what keeps fueling you. And when life drains you, those people and those habits fill you back up.
Yeah, and it sounds to me, you've got a big old range there of folks who are throughout I'll just say a community, the new community
Absolutely.
that you're in, and this is when you're setting up a new life, right? You're trying to go somewhere, and you're like, this is now I'm part of this community. Because I used to find that, like, for example, in our old racket, English teaching for second language, ESL teaching. I don't know if you found this, but I would see, especially in Korea back in the day, you'd have kind of like Canadians, Americans, Aussies, and they would all just kind of lump together.
Yep.
And it's like, so who are your Korean friends? And are you, and now for some folks, it'd be a year and they're gone, right? So it was a gap year of like, other folks, they would do what they called it pulling a runner. So they'd land like, this isn't for me. So they'd break the contract, they'd run to the airport and they'd just kind of disappear. But none of that is fitting in at all. Now, I've got friends now, still friends, who, like, in the spring when my wife and I go to visit friends in South Korea, what they did, these are folks who married Koreans, who ended up starting at like a Hagwon, an academy, and then got their masters, some PhDs, working at universities, and it's more of this like variety of what you're talking about, right? So, that all comes down to conscious choice and effort,
being intentional.
Yeah. As opposed to some of what are some more of the pitfalls that can happen for folks? Because if you just stick to whether it's the diaspora you're from, right? So what do both of you think about that? Like, do you see that or with folks you know, or just what are your thoughts on some of the pitfalls of mistakes folks make in the beginning or over time of when they're moving into a new community?
I believe one mistake people make, sometimes I think it's unconscious, is they limit themselves to the opportunities that are or resources that are available here for them. So they limit themselves in their mindsets and they block themselves from seeing anything else that they could be or that they could do in this new space. And I actually think I reached a point where I thought I was going to limit myself.
Yeah.
But it's the people around you, once again, who would take you out of this. I still have close I'm in close contact with my family back home, and my dad does this thing where he sends random videos he sees on YouTube and TikTok and on a news article he reads. And this week he sent me one. I think it was an Albert Einstein quote that says, "In the middle of difficulties, you have to see opportunities," something like that. So my dad sends me these things, and I read them, I watch them, because if I don't, when I'm talking to him the next time, he's going to ask me about it. And
I like your dad.
Yeah, I'm sure you love him. These are the things that shapes you as a person. I'm very far away from him, but he still finds a way to motivate me to work on my mindset. And if you don't have people like that around you, over here too, like Didan mentioned, I was also very intentional about the people I surround myself with. I have friends that I talk to about certain things. I know whom to go to at what time to discuss a particular issue. I don't have all the people I know in one box.
No.
I have people I go to for guidance, and I've been fortunate enough to have people mentor me without me even asking. Didan here, I believe, a silent mentor in me. I didn't walk up to Didan to say, "Didan, I need mentorship." She just sees potential in me and has put it upon herself to invest in me. That's how I see it. And I don't take that for granted at all. And so I believe that people you put around you actually shape your mindset and the way you think, the way you do certain things, and they push you to actually give your best.
Neha, what about you?
Yeah, so I feel, according to like my experience and my like what I have seen with other people, is like, limiting yourself only to your community people. It's very important that you also speak to people from different communities. When I came here, my first goal was making friends from different countries. That was my first goal, and thankfully today I have friends from all different countries. One of my best friend is from Thailand.
Yeah.
So it was like and why I'm saying this is because, when you interact with different community people, you kind of understand, like, what is their, like how they understand life, because what your perspective to understand life or to, go with this life is very different from people from different countries, right? And you learn from each other. So I think that is one of the mistakes people do, is just limiting yourself to your community. It's very important that you stay connected to your community too, because as Didan mentioned in the book, is like some of the basic things that you feel that in your country it is very easy and convenient, it could be very complex in a different country, right? So whenever such a situation like this arises, so it's very easy to fall back to your community people and ask people who are already still living here from several years. They'll be easily to like guide you, like how to go about it, right? Like, for example, like renewing an Indian passport. I wasn't sure like what to do when you are in a foreign country. So and my
on the
passport
Canadian
was
side,
expiring.
it's not fun. Like, I mean, it's just I hate process stuff, and I've had to do that before.
Yeah,
I'm like,
exactly.
This is not.
Yeah, so that is the first point I would say. And second point is, as Afia already mentioned, that surrounding yourself with people. There are three things that Didan has mentioned in the book. One is the mates, mentors, and motivators. It's very very important that you kind of recognize like who your mates are, your mentors are, and motivators are. Like you could find all three in one person as well, but it's also important that you kind of like I think Afia already mentioned that you should know like with what problems you should go to which set of people, because who your mates are, they might not be your motivators, right? And
No, definitely not.
yeah, I mean, that's what I have observed. And it's very important to stay connected back with your friends and family back home, because obviously they are there for you. You feel that there is a huge distance, but to be honest, it's not. I recently went back home and I went to meet my friends. I kind of said that sometimes I do question that I don't know if I did the right thing moving to Canada. And they said that we actually look up to you as an inspiration.
Wow.
So, and
Look at
then,
you being a motivator.
yeah. So, I mean, how can you think like that? So I was like, I feel that you should not get demotivated so easily, right? Because there are challenges that is thrown at everyone's plate. There are different kind of challenges thrown at everyone's plate, and I would say that learn how to navigate those challenges and, arise. Like, you need to map those challenges and opportunities. I think she has mentioned a very nice framework. She has given a very nice framework how to do that. And these are the things I would
Well,
say.
and to your point at the start of the show, right? Great advice for everyone listening,
Yeah.
right? Like in your life, mates, mentors, motivators. Like
Yeah.
that's like just as we've been talking now, I've been thinking like, okay, mates, well, that's very important to have, right? For someone doing anything, going anywhere. And the book we're talking about, folks, Becoming the Resilient Foreigner, Embrace Change, Reinvent Yourself, and Thrive Anywhere by Didan Ashanta Wedderburn. If you've got thoughts, right? If you moved here, B, or also A, depending how you look at it, if you've moved somewhere else and you're listening to this and, you've come back to Newfoundland and Labrador, or you just have thoughts on resiliency and being a foreigner, being a newcomer, being in a new space and how to set up a life, or if this is just ringing true to you for life advice, you can text us 709-327-8206, the signal at cbc.ca for emails. And if you want to give us a shout, 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255. And folks, for those emails, I've got a copy of the book, and this is the radio gold for the sound effects. I got a copy of the book to give away, as always. So navigating culture in a new place. So, for example, I remember one time, I'm in this newsroom in Tokyo, and I was having a discussion with a Japanese producer. And so there was some issue about the news we were doing that day. And this person's, the end result, their end thought and my end thought were worlds apart. And I had this realization, I'm like, oh, we're never going to agree. Like this is like this person is wired so differently. Yeah. They will never see it like me, and I will never see it like them. And at the time, I mean, so it just had to be like, well, I guess we're just going to agree to disagree, and whoever was in charge made the decision, and we went on. How do you navigate those moments? And if you're being resilient, you're reinventing yourself. You've got your mates, your mentors, your motivators, but you're also sometimes going to run into stuff that maybe just how you're wired and how you think, you're like this different. I don't know. Like, what do you, Didan, what do you do? Because you've, how many places have you lived in, by the way? Like lots. Would you say lots?
I wouldn't say live in lots. I've visited a lot of places, but I've lived in Jamaica, Japan, and Newfoundland. I think I would be very cautious when responding to someone when they say, I'm coming up on these challenges. What do I do? Sometimes you need to, it's a challenge to you to stretch yourself and to take on something that's difficult. But sometimes you need to release. Yeah. And that's something I talk about in the chapter about tracking your progress, because you leave home to go to a place, whether it's to escape the rat race or to find your fortune, whatever the reason, and you have an idea in your mind about what's going to happen, but you get there and your boss is horrible. Yeah. Or your roommate is driving you crazy, or your professor is trying to steal all of your research. Whatever the challenge you come upon, sometimes you are going to have to stand up to the situation, and sometimes you need to walk away. And this is why it's important to surround yourself with good people who can be that sounding board, because sometimes a mentor will tell you, listen, if you keep fighting against that professor, your entire career will go down. Yep. And they'll tell you, just finish the thesis and move on. And then there are other times when someone will say, no, your employer is not supposed to keep your passport. That's against the law. Exactly. And they will bring on, whether it's police or whoever is necessary to stand with you. So it's not a one size fits all. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. And figuring that out. I also find sometimes, and tell me what you folks think too, right? Like it's a frustration with, let's say, an employer or a prof, or maybe a few days of frustrating events. There's the thoughts you might have about an individual, and then there's the thoughts you might have about the culture of where you are and the community you're in. And sometimes anger at one can spill over to the rest.
100%.
So this is where I always struggled, right? How do I whether it was Korea or Japan, how like trying to say I would be sometimes angry at Korean culture. And then I'm like, no, I'm just angry at Mr. Kim. Right?
Exactly.
But then other times I'm like, actually, this part of Korean culture doesn't really get along with me and I need to
Yeah.
accept it. Or also, like there's a saying, the monk, if the monk is angry at the temple, he doesn't, the temple doesn't change. The monk leaves the temple, right? Like, it's, there's that too. So what are your, how for both of you on just kind of navigating? And you don't have to go too far in anything, but just like how do you navigate some of this stuff for the cultural side of it?
I think.
Go ahead.
Okay. It got me thinking of something right now when you were talking. I was in a particular situation and I didn't know if I was handling it very well. I think you have to know whom to talk to about it. And especially if you want to understand the perspective of the people on the other end.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, probably I'm the problem. I don't understand what is going on. Let me find somebody who can actually relate to their perspective and explain to me. So you need to know whom to talk to. So I communicate to people a lot. I love to talk to people. I love to share my perspective, the other perspective, and I'm like, what do you think? Do you think my feelings are valid? Do you think? How do you think I should navigate this situation?
Oh, that's really smart.
Yeah. Has it happened to you before? How did you deal with it? Or preferably, I'll find somebody who also thinks alike. Like maybe the person I'm going to talk to has been in the same situation they've been in, or they are from probably the same place. They think alike. They understand each other. And they are my friend. They are people who can communicate to me in a way that I would understand. So I always make sure I find the people I can talk to analyze the situation, to help me understand before I make any decisions. And I also have come to learn that you need to be okay with the fact that people will not always agree with you or think in the same direction or thoughts as you. So it's okay for people to have different opinions, and you should know how to accept that. But then you should also be able to make them know that this is my opinion and I stand with it. This is my decision. This is how I do my things and I stand with it. So at the end of the day, I think it all comes down to communication and how to go about it.
As you learn, yeah. I mean, I've found, whether in Korea or Japan, one of the really nice things, if I would, like, anytime I wasn't sure about directions or something, if I felt lost, if I just looked half confused, people would come up and offer to help me. So I started to learn that, like, some of the superpowers of when you are a newcomer somewhere, like, all I have to do is
Scratch your
change my
head
face a
and
little bit.
weird.
And like, you're like, excuse me, do you need help? I'm like, I do need help. Wow, that was under 4 seconds.
Yes.
We got a caller. Daryl's on the line from Gander. How you doing, Daryl?
Oh, good. And yourself?
Good, boy. Good. What's on your mind? Thoughts on the discussion?
Well, I was listening to your show there today. Very intriguing. You got fantastic guests there today, and you guys are bringing up really awesome points there. But I just sort of want to add to the mix.
Yeah.
To add to it all and it's very simple in life, and everybody needs more of this, is you apply the law of attraction to your life. And the law of attraction is positivity. What you send out is what you receive. And, alluding to what you guys were talking about earlier, and this is all free information. You Google it, YouTube it, and it's amazing stuff. I really believe into it, because sometimes I have things happen. Oh, God, I didn't expect this to happen. But like you said, I apply law of attraction to my life. If it's like towards, like, say, money, relationships, or anything in general, and there's such thing as law of money too. But if you just apply that, things will flow easy to you, because when people get uptight and frustrated, then it's hard to get the good vibrations to manifest and come towards you. But if you apply the law of attraction, positivity, very easy. You'll find people in general will be good to you. But I recommend your guests and yourself and your listening audience just to Google the law of attraction and YouTube it. If you're into it, is very, very amazing stuff, and so simple. If we had that in life, like in general, like what's happening in the world now, as you know, I won't get into it. But if everybody applied that, it would be a lot better world. Everybody could work together as a team worldwide. All the countries in the world could work together. And in general, then everybody will prosper. But right now, there's a lot of negativity, but we can't allow the negative override the positive. And so this is why I emphasize the law of attraction. Keep moving ahead, think positive, and in the in the long term, I mean, that things will work out, and that's what we all need in our lives.
Oh yeah, no, Daryl. Thanks for the call. Thanks for the tips on that. And yeah, you know, I am a firm believer of a lot of times what you put out there is real important.
Well, what you send is what you receive, or the old saying, reap what you sow. But just remember the law of attraction in all aspects of your life. Very simple.
Thank you, sir. Happy New Year to you.
Yes, thank you to you and your guests and your listening audience, and Happy New Year to everybody. Have a great one.
You too. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, Daryl, calling from Gander there. You know, thoughts?
I love that,
Yeah.
Daryl. Thank you. You know what? I really love Proverbs.
Yeah.
And so anyone who reads the book will
Yes.
see that I open every chapter
Yes.
with a proverb. And one of my favorite proverbs aligns with what Daryl just shared. It's an Ethiopian proverb. It says, anticipate the good so that you can enjoy it.
See? Oh, that's so great.
And that's just how I go through life. I expect it to work out good or work out better than I dreamed. And because I go into things with that energy, then even if something breaks or some issue comes up, I expect that it's going to work out. Something clearly is going to fix it.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
like
it
that
always
outlook.
works out. It always works out.
Yeah. Now, so if something doesn't, when there's a hiccup in it, you just keep the thinking this way. Hey?
Any hiccup is kind of like when there's construction on the road.
Yeah. Okay.
I take a detour, but do I still end up where I'm going?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
get
do.
there.
You know, and sometimes the detour makes you come upon a restaurant that you didn't know existed, and then you gain from that hiccup. You know, so it's the perspective. If you have that mindset that I am going to benefit from whatever situation I encounter, it shifts your attitude. People see how you're navigating, and they're like, you know what, she just finds a positive in everything. And they're encouraged to support you.
Okay, and the reason I'm wondering that is I mentioned that the monk bit, right, for the temple. Right? The monk doesn't like the temple. The monk leaves the temple. True story. On vacation with my in-laws, so we go to this mountain Buddhist temple, and there's like three buildings there. And I'm like, why does that one look so new? And my father-in-law was like, well, a couple of years ago, there was a big disagreement with these monks playing cards, and true story, no one got hurt, but the one monk got so upset afterwards, he burned that building down. And I was like, oh, and then I mentioned the proverb that I always remembered, and because I was like, in this case, I guess the monk, did something different. And my father-in-law found it really funny. My wife did not find it funny, but I thought it was, because you have these things, but there's always going to be a different story out there. But it's important to, like you're saying, Dot, stay positive and keep thinking about it.
I guess the community deserved a new temple.
But, and they got a new temple, and I mean, it did look really nice. Any other thoughts on what Daryl was saying on positivity and putting it out there?
Yeah. I learned about the law of attraction at a very young age. I don't know if there's a book like that, but I have a big sister, and I remember she just told me that, practice the law of attraction. When you want something, think about it all the time, and it will either come to you or you find your way to that thing. So I have that mindset in mind that when you visualize yourself to become something, or you visualize an activity or a project to be something, the world has a way of bringing resources together to align for you to get there. So regardless of whatever happens on the way, you can pick that up as lessons that you would use to, re-strategize and still get to where you have to be, just as Didan mentioned. So I wrote in my notes here, that whenever I read anything from Didan's book, let me mention this. Reading this book felt like Didan was repeating everything she has told me in the past year.
Yeah.
Because I used to work with Didan, and I'm in close contact with her. And everything in here, I actually believe I did some of the strategies in this book before it was even brought out as a book, because everything in here is... I'm actually a living testimony of this book, to be honest, because everything in here are things she has said to me, she has advised me to do, and everything. So whenever I read it, I read a chapter and I pick my book and I write my thoughts on it. So yeah, in one of the chapters, even at the beginning when she talks about reinvention, that you can't be the same person you were when you packed your stuff from your home country into your host country, I just made a little note that when you visualize yourself like to become something in a new country, you become it. The world brings resources in your life to make you become that thing. And I've always lived with that, and I believe it works. Yeah.
Yeah, and with every new experience, you do evolve, right? You do change. Right?
Yeah.
Whether you're it's a degree, a stint with a certain work, a time in another place, like all of that changes you over time, right? That there's a life in living. But then through, some of the whether it's law of attraction or some of the resiliency talk that we're having today, I like the idea of, you kind of being the captain of your own ship and where you're trying to go and who you're sailing with, right? With the mates and the mentors and stuff, Yeah, any thoughts?
Yeah, so like this thing was cultivated to me by my mother when I was very, very young, because most of my time, like my father was a defense personnel, and all my growing up years, my father, I wasn't like growing together, like, because my father should be like, sometimes he had postings in like very remote areas where he'll be there for his postings for 2 to 3 years, and that's when my mother always told me that, like whatever you want to become, you can be anything, just think whatever, because she always used to say that the sky is the limit, like, that's how she taught me, like how she brought me and my brother. So I totally believe in that, and it's not about like becoming. It's like attracting things too. Like, it's like sometimes you kind of like I have seen this in my life, in my lived experience, because sometimes when I get into any kind of issues or problems and I feel that I don't know how would I get out of this situation. One such incident is like, when I got stuck in Toronto, when I came for the first time in Canada, I didn't get my study permit, and I was in the airport for like 2 nights.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And I'm telling you, starting experience was so challenging for
that's
me.
rough. Yeah.
So it was like, I didn't know what to do, because I think it was a holiday. The next day, I don't know which holiday it was, and you can only contact IRCC through emails, and they don't have they have a number, but generally they don't respond to numbers and stuff. You can either raise a web form and stuff. So I didn't get my study permit, and I raised the web form. I emailed them, and I don't know what to do. Like, I did everything that I can on my part. How much I knew, I just did, and my things were coming here. Like, my luggage was delivering. was getting delivered in
Super
St. John.
convenient, that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do, and I was like stuck. So that's when I kind of like, my mother, she told me that, think positive, everything will be fine. You will get the right help. Just think that you will get the help. And I did get the help.
Right.
Yes, and it was fortunately my friend called me just to ask me if I landed, and she told me, and I told her the entire story, and then she connected me to one of her friend whose fiance was in Toronto.
There you go.
And he helped me to sort this issue out, and then I got my study permit the next day, and I came to St. John's. So it's just that like I really believe in this quote, because I have seen it. Like, if I think like, no, I think I'll get out of the situation, some help will be coming to me. Universe, what do you think the universe gives to you?
Think positively,
Yeah,
take action, right?
exactly.
Do what you can, but at the
Yes.
same time, try to stay as positive as you
Yes,
can,
exactly.
and you eventually got reunited with your luggage.
Yes. That's right.
We've got 30 seconds left. Final thought, Didan, for the world.
Whether you are foreigner living in a new place, or you're just someone navigating a new chapter of your life, embrace the change. And like Daryl encouraged us, have that mindset of anticipating the good. And I think you will thrive. You will become that resilient person you need to be.
There you go, folks. As we continue to charge into 2026, that is the some final words of wisdom from Didan Ashanta Wedderburn there. If you want a copy of the book, Becoming the Resilient Foreigner, the signal at cbc.ca. We'll put your name in a draw and send it out in the coming days. Or Lazarenko will we'll send it out to you tomorrow. Well, speaking of the world, we're going to talk about the state of the world tomorrow. So from Trump to Venezuela to Greenland, the Middle East, you name it, we're talking about it. What are your thoughts on everything that's going on right now? Get in touch with us. The lines will be open, and we've got a couple of great guests to dissect everything tomorrow on the show. Cheers.